in the entire written record of the Shang dynasty. The largest army ever put on the battlefield was commanded by a woman. Her name survives on burned bone and stamped bronze. Not in the textbooks. For almost 2,000 years, her existence rested on exactly two things: bone fragments and a sealed pit of earth. The two proved each other real. This is the story of Fu Hao, 1976 workman digging near Anyang struck the timber roof of a tomb sealed for 3,000 years. The site was Yinxu, the ruined Shang capital, where every earlier royal tomb had been emptied. Not this one. Tomb 5 was the only Shang royal tomb ever found intact, and its owner could be identified without doubt. Shang led the dig. What came out of that pit reads like the inventory of an empire. Nearly 2,000 objects, 468 bronzes, 755 jades, nearly 7,000 cowrie shells. 4 enormous ceremonial battle axes lay among them, the king's emblem of supreme command. He gave her 4. More than 160 bronzes carried her name Fu Hao. 16 attendants and 6 dogs were buried beside her. In Shang belief, such a funeral train attended only royalty. For a woman said to be another wife, the grave said otherwise. Except for one absence, the coffin was there, the treasures were there. The body was not a skeleton, not a fragment of bone. 3,000 years of water had dissolved her completely. The excavators checked twice, then a third time. Nothing. All that remained of the most powerful woman in Bronze Age China was her name, hammered into metal. So who was Fu Hao? One of the 64 wives of King Wu Ding of the Shang, who ruled in the 13th century BCE. But the word wife cannot explain her. Wives did not collect tribute from their own lands. Fu Hao did. She owned territory, directed laborers, raised her own taxes. In the Shang world, that meant one thing: power in her own right. The oracle bones go further. The Shang questioned the dead by writing on turtle shells and ox shoulder blades, then pressing them into fire until the bones cracked. In those cracks, Fu Hao appears at war. She led campaigns against neighboring peoples and took prisoners. Enemies sacrificed to the ancestors, a rite of the highest rank. One inscription records her at the head of 13,000 soldiers, the largest army in any surviving Shang record. Most commanders led a few hundred. An army that size is not raised to win a skirmish. It is raised to crush an enemy completely. She held the other half of power too. The king ordered her to perform the kingdom's most sacred rituals, to speak to the ancestors for the whole court. A general who talked to gods. A landowner who commanded armies. And the bones show what Wu Ding felt while she was gone. He divined over her illnesses, her pregnancies, whether she would return from war. When she died, around 1200 BCE, he married her to one of his own predecessors, so her spirit would have a protector. The most powerful king of the Shang refused to let her go. And yet she disappeared. The Shang fell in 1046 BCE, conquered by the Zhou, who built their right to rule on one-story power, passes from father to son, in an unbroken male line. A woman general could not fit inside that story. So the story was rewritten. Erasure is rarely one act. It is thousands of small decisions, a name omitted, a victory reassigned, until the person simply stops existing. The historian Sima Qian wrote the definitive history of China around 100 BCE. Fu Hao was not in it. She had been edited out of the past itself. She survived in a single place, the oracle bones, scattered and sold as dragon bones, ground into medicine by peasants who never knew what they crumbled. At the end of the 19th century, scholars realized the cracks were writing. Decades later, her name surfaced in the divinations, again and again. But a name on a bone is not a person. There was no tomb, no body, no proof, until 1976, when a dig broke through the roof of the one grave the looters missed and set her in front of the world again. 50 years on, her tomb is the proof archaeology puts on the table when politics refuses. The Shang gave her a temple title, Mu Xin. History tried to give her nothing. The ground gave her everything, which leaves a question the tomb cannot answer. Fu Hao survived because a single crew struck one undisturbed patch of earth. How many other women like her were erased the same way? Generals, priestesses, sovereigns of their own land, names scraped from bronze, victories reassigned. We will never know. The one we found is the exception, not the rule. If you want the history that never made the textbooks, subscribe. There is far more buried.